Hi, I'm Tom Field, Vice President of Editorial with Information Security Media Group. I'm talking today about DDoS and the evolution of extortion. My pleasure to be speaking with Richard Meeus with NSFOCUS. Richard, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Tom.
So DDoS is back in sort of a new flavor. Give me a sense of what you're seeing for DDoS attacks today and how they've evolved over the past several years.
Well, absolutely. I mean, for the last 2 years, DDoS has now been used as an extortion tool, not just as a political tool or tool for script kiddies. And we've seen it being used by the Armada Collective, for example, and DD4BC. But it's also being used today as a tool to hide additional types of exploits as well, to hide more malevolent types of attacks who are trying to do exploits and that sort of thing. But what we've seen in terms of we've now seen the 4th generation of DDoS attacks. So we've moved on from the botnets of several years ago that were able to generate attacks of 20 to 30 gigs into the attacks done by the Al-Qasim cyber fighters went up to several hundred gigs. And that moved into compromising the web servers and WordPress servers and things like that, into using the internet against itself, which was the reflection attacks of what we saw 2 years ago that generated the huge attack that could be ramped up very, very quickly. And now we're in what we think was probably the 4th generation, and what this is now is using the Internet of Things, all those devices that are out there that were manufactured purely as analog devices in the past, like the cameras and thermostats that had zero intelligence up to 2 years ago, now fully connected to the internet with rudimentary security, if any, and these are now being turned and being able to be manipulated to launch huge attacks, well up to 1 terabit per second.
And we've just seen the surface of that, haven't we? It's pretty frightening.
Absolutely. At the moment it's very difficult to understand really what could be the full extent of those devices and how many are actually connected to the internet, how many are actually being exposed, and have these unsecure encryption mechanisms or very simple passwords on them.
So talk to me about the tie to extortion and see if you can ease my fear about those huge DDoS attacks getting tied to extortion. It's one thing to not be able to use Twitter. What happens if you can't use Twitter and Twitter is extorted?
Well, I think one of the reasons for the extortion is that in terms of a DDoS, it's rather the case of it's the guy who will accost you in the underpass and sort of say, give me your money or I'm going to hit you. And that's what DDoS is. It's quite a blunt tool, but it's incredibly effective because it can take your entire organization offline. And when that doesn't mean just taking your website offline, but it means taking your email offline, your B2B, your B2C, any interaction you have with the outside digital world is basically turned off. And this is going to be incredibly bad for your brand reputation. But not only that, is if it takes down your IPS, your IDS, your WAF, and your routers, etc., when you turn those back on, you manage to get them back up online, you're not quite sure whether there's going to be a hole there for a couple of seconds that allows the attackers to get in and start deploying more malicious techniques and malicious malware to get in there and start being able to get data out of there that can be used to actually take away money, take away identity, that sort of thing.
Talk to me about how NSFOCUS is helping its customers defend themselves better against this evolution of DDoS and extortion.
So NSFOCUS has been working for many years to create what we call intelligent hybrid security. So what this means is not having your security elements working in silos of your DDoS and your WAF and your IPS, but what we want to try and do is to try and make all of these solutions talk together, be they on an appliance and therefore on premises, or be it in the cloud, but also to tie that all together with proper intelligence that is actually actionable, that you can feed down, that is up to date, that is real time, that you can put into your IPS and your WAF, but also leverage that intelligence into your existing infrastructure as well. So we don't want to just sort of say, yes, you have to go down one shop. It's a question of leveraging the intelligence across all your devices, but also bringing in an intelligent security level. That means that you can have your WAF, that when it detects a DDoS attack, is able to trigger the DDoS solution. And when the attack starts getting too loud, it automatically triggers the cloud solution. Having these devices that are able, when you're doing pen testing, for the pen testing to trigger the WAF and saying there is exploits out there that you haven't got protection for. you need to put a WAF rule in place to protect that. Having all these devices talking to each other, creating an intelligent hybrid security platform is key.
Yeah, Richard, you used the term intelligence. It's ubiquitous in security circles. I don't know that there's a common understanding of what intelligence is. When you use the term, what's it mean to you?
Absolutely, and I think intelligence, when people talk about threat intelligence, it's been used an awful lot in the security industry over the last 2 years, and it really depends upon the context in which it's being presented. So, the intelligence can be, I need to know who are all the malicious IPs who are going to connect to me, or the intelligence may be, I need to know all of the command and control centers so that I can tell if any of my machines have been pwned. Or I need to know intelligence of the most up-to-date malware signatures that we can obtain from all around the world to really be able to knuckle down on zero-day attacks. So that's a level of intelligence, being able to provide those feeds up-to-date and reliable, but when not only are they obtained from things like honeypots and various other mechanisms, but it's also used in conjunction with hundreds of security experts who are actually going through this data, looking for other exploits, looking for other vulnerabilities, and being able to tie in the security feeds with the exploits, with the data, and to provide real actionable intelligence.
And this is the level of expertise that NSFOCUS brings.
NSFOCUS has been doing this for many, many years now. We're a regular contributor to CVE. We are a regular contributor to the Microsoft Bug Bounty Program, and we have been doing the security research for many, many years. And this is what we consider one of our main fortes of our line of business.
Very good. Richard, thanks for your time and insight.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom.
The topic has been DDoS, extortion, and threat intelligence. I've been talking with Richard Meeus of NSFOCUS. For Information Security Media Group, I'm Tom Field. Thank you very much.